I'm going to talk about tuplets today. How excited are you? I mean, can you count to 3 or 5 or 6? It's like a whole different way to play music, dude. You're excited, right? Today's lesson is for my beginner buddies out there, and this one covers the topic of tuplets, which is the way to count numbers between quarter notes that are not the standard. Like if you're on the quarter note, it's the quarter note that you're playing, or every 2 notes in between, you got 8th notes, and then 4 is 16th notes. I don't have enough fingers, and then even 32nd notes. And if all this is kind of confusing to you, I have a lesson on how to count music, which I'll link up here. And you can go back and look at that lesson, and it'll really make sense to you then as we go into this other lesson about tuplets. So have a look if you don't know kind of what I'm talking about here. So that said, let's move on to the tuplets part of the lesson. To show how this works, I've got an instance of Easy Drummer loaded up, and I'm going to kind of shrink myself down into the corner of the screen here and load up the desktop so you can see, and we'll play along with the drums and talk about what's going on. All right, so if I'm going to play a beat here, just a standard kind of rock beat, I've got it set to 100 beats per minute, and I can play a rhythm that's just hitting the quarter notes or the 8th notes, and it's very kind of plain sounding. I will start the beat here, and we're just going to play 1, 2, 3, 4 straight quarter notes. I can play 8th notes. All right, cool stuff. But now if I want to go to triplets, let me pause that a sec. If I want to go to triplets, I'm going to play for each downbeat quarter note. I'm going to break it into 3. So if it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, I'm breaking it up into intervals of 3 notes in between. Then we end up with what's called the triplet feel. That's the first of the tuplets, the simplest. And it'll take on more of a bluesy or a blues rock kind of feel. So starting the beat again. Hey, you can see that has more of a bluesy kind of quality to it, or a gallopy quality. And if I use it like on a lead track, so if I'll start with 8th notes and then I'll play the triplets instead. So if I'm just doing 8th notes, playing pentatonic here. If I switch to triplets, it has more groove, more feel. It's just a different type of thing. It's got more of a bluesy feel, and maybe it's a little bit more interesting as a rhythm. So that's your basic triplet, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. The next thing you can do when you're getting into some complicated lead parts now is start playing sextuplets, and now you're doing 6 notes per beat there, per quarter note, and it gets pretty quick. So I put this back on. It's hard to do that without moving your jaw, right? You see people move their mouth funny when they play these parts. So you can see the sextuplets are a good way to play quick without going all the way up to 32nd notes where you're really flying. It's like that kind of in between. And you'll catch a lot of speed shreddy parts played as sextuplets because, especially at higher tempos, 32nd notes can almost become mush, and the sextuplets work out a little bit better. Now, the one thing I like to do with tuplets is to get really odd and esoteric, if you will, and I like to play 5s. It's not something I hear a lot. There's a player, Eric Johnson, who's been around a long time. He's fantastic. He's kind of one of the only guys I can think of that uses them commonly. I'm sure there are others. He's just the one I know of. But it's a weird feel. And I've also got a riff of the month talking about the quintuplet patterns. But just quickly, what that is, you've got the 5 notes for every quarter notes. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. It's hard to count like that, but if I play it, it's got a cool trippy quality to it. So that's just a bit of an extra thing for you there, doing a quintuplet instead. But, you know, you can break whatever or you can break each quarter note into whatever you want, and that's the tuplet that you're playing. Whatever you'd call, if you did 11 notes, which would be like super fast, you know, it'd be a slow tempo, whatever the word for 11 is, centa, penta, deca.
Suppose our function looks like that.
I don't know, something tuplet. Anyway, so there's your primer on tuplets and what that means just from a beginner's standpoint, so you know what people are talking about if they're talking about playing triplets or whatever, and maybe you can explore and do things that you hadn't thought of before if you were just messing with your basic quarter and eighth note type of rhythm. I hope this makes sense to you, and of course if you have any questions or comments, leave them below. I'm always happy to answer, and until next time guys, keep making great music. Hey friends, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. It makes the whole world better.